Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Jayam Vishnupad Brahmamsa Prajapacharya Sautara Sata Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charanara Vrinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Foundacharya, Savior of the whole world, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Ritalila Pravista Om Vishnupad Brahmamsa Parivrajagacharya Sautara Sata Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Brahmacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardham Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Sri Damayapur Dham Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Neelachala Jagannatha-puri Dham Ki Jai. Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai. Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Lalita Vishaka Ki Jai. Sri Sri Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Sri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Narasimhadev Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Shashi Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai. Kali Yuga Patita Pavan. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Samavera Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Shikaura Pranandi. All glorious to us, of the devotees. All glorious to us, of the devotees. All glorious to us, of the devotees. All glorious, all glorious, all glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glorious to Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Vasudevaya. So this evening we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, entitled The Uplands of the Absolute. And for today's discussion, we are taking verse 9. Machita Magata Prana Udayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mamnityam Tushyanti Charamanticha Machita Magata Prana Udayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mamnityam Tushyanti Charamanticha Machita Magata Prana Udayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mamnityam Tushyanti Charamanticha. And try. Machita Magata Prana Udayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mamnityam Tushyanti Charamanticha. Anyone else?
Machita Magata Prana Udayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mamnityam Tushyanti Charamanticha.
Ladies, somebody wants to try? Machita Magata Prana Udayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mamnityam Tushyanti Charamanticha. Word for word translation. Machita, minds fully engaged in me. Madgata Pranaha, lines devoted to the service of Krishna. Bodhayantaha, preaching. Parasparam, among themselves. Katayantaha, cha, talking also. Mam, about me. Nityam, perpetually. Tushanti, are pleased. Cha, also. Ramanti, enjoy transcendental bliss. Cha, also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. Please repeat responsibly. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. So Prabhupada's purport. Pure devotees, whose characteristics are mentioned here, engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their thoughts solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of Godhead. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe. And out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed. And if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as the plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of Godhead. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and a girl take pleasure in association. Om Jnanatimridasya Jnananjanashakaya Chakshurvamnekam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Swahaguna Ragunastam Vitam Tam Srivam Saetam Saladrutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvise Sashunyavali Pasacha Desatarini Vanchakalpatarvyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patikanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. Mukam karoti vachalam prangunagayate grim yakri patamahan bande Shri Guru Dheerataranam Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Akanda Mandalakaram Vyaptaina Characharam Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we are very happy to be here this evening, somehow or the other, to have the association. This is my first time of coming to Goa, and it's my first time of meeting all of you, and I hope our meeting will be fruitful. So, before we proceed to say some things about this verse, of course, your temple president, Ajahn Priya Prabhu, requested that we discuss issues relating to relationships between devotees. So I thought that this verse will give us the foundation, will give us the impetus to discuss how devotees should relate and the benefit of such relationships. So that's why we chose this verse. But before we proceed to discuss or try to discuss what Lord Krishna had just said, and Vishnu Prabhupada trying to explain, to break down the subject matter for our understanding, we seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, both seen and unseen. There are some Vaishnavas we don't see, but they are present. There are some, they are in this disembodied beings, but they are Vaishnavas. And wherever there is discussion of Lord Sri Krishna, discussion about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are other beings that come around. We may not see them. Very exalted beings. We may not see them, but they are present. Because the subject matter of Krishna is very attractive to both the liberated souls and the conditioned souls as well. So we seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, both seen and unseen, so that we can say something for our own purification and probably for the benefit of the assembled devotees. So, in this verse, Krishna is giving us a clue, an idea, what should go on between devotees. Of course, this is for the pure devotees. We are all struggling to come to this level. But nevertheless, we need to know what is expected of us, or what is expected when we reach that level. We should know the standard of relationship between the pure devotees as we cultivate bhakti, as we try to reach that platform. We must know what is going on there. That will serve as guidance to take us there. So, Krishna is saying, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss enlightening one another and conversing about me. Which means that the pure devotees, they have no subject matter. They have no other subject matter to discuss except Krishna Katha. In the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhav makes a very, very important statement. He says, Tava vidritikam Krishna, karna piyusham mangalam. Karna piyusham mangalam. Uddhav is telling Krishna that, my dear Lord, your transcendental activities, Tava vididikritam Krishna, your transcendental activities are like beverages, sweet beverages in the ears of the devotees. That means narrations about Krishna, Krishna's activities, Krishna's pastimes, they are like beverages for the hearing of the ear. And so therefore, those devotees that are getting purified, those devotees that are becoming steeped deep in their Krishna consciousness, they have no time for prajalpa. They have no time for Gramya Katha. They have no time for any subject that does not relate to Krishna, because such topics will not bring pleasure. So, the pure devotees, they relish so much pleasure from Krishna Katha that they don't want to hear anything else. When they meet, they discuss Krishna. When they are alone, they think about Krishna. Whatever they do is related to Krishna. And in this way, 24 hours, they are in touch with Krishna. And by being in touch with Krishna, one is transcendentally situated. The Chaitanya Charitamrita describes 4 types of happiness. There is Jada Ananda. Jada Ananda means happiness derived from material interaction. Material sense gratification gives us Jada Ananda. But that is very, very significant. And that is why the soul is always hungry. In material life, no one is satisfied. No one. Otherwise, why would the millionaires or billionaires or trillionaires, why are they still working very hard, making so many plans how to multiply their wealth? A poor man on the street is just looking for something to eat. If he has enough to eat, he's satisfied. But a billionaire, he has billions upon billions of rupees, of dollars, of pounds, of euros. He is not satisfied. He wants more and more and more. And that applies to the different aspects of sense gratification. The politician is not satisfied. He wants more glory, more fame, distinction. There is no end. So, the living entity in the material world enjoys some pleasure. No doubt about it, there is some pleasure. And that is called Jadananda. That is very, very limited. It is only limited to the senses. And that cannot satisfy the soul. So the Prabhupada compares material enjoyment to a drop of water in the desert. The desert is very hot. There is no rain, only sunshine. On the sand, very, very hot. So if you go drop one drop of water in that desert, what can it do? It cannot quench any thirst. You need volumes upon volumes of water to satisfy the thirst in the desert. So whatever we are getting as material pleasure does not satisfy the soul, which is living in the desert-like heart, in the desert-like body, in the desert-like environment. The soul in material existence is in a desert. No matter what situation we think we are in, the soul is never satisfied by material activities. So that kind of pleasure is described as Jada Ananda, rubbing the senses against their objects is never satisfying. And that is why everyone has to work very hard in trying to satisfy the senses. But the senses cannot be satisfied by material activities, by Jada Ananda. So those who are a bit wise, they step up their pleasure. What did they do? They meditate on the Brahman Jyoti. The Jnanis, they meditate on the Brahman Jyoti. And they try to experience what is called Brahmananda, Brahma Ananda, pleasure coming from the Brahman Jyoti. But even that is considered very, very significant. It's very insignificant. It does not actually satisfy the soul. And that is why living entities that have taken shelter of Brahma Jyoti, they fall down. Why did they fall down? Because they are not getting enough pleasure. And so they cannot remain there. After a while, they have to come back to the material world. Higher than Brahmananda is Atmananda. Those who are perceiving the super soul, those who are in touch with the super soul, they're deriving pleasure from the super soul. That is called Atmananda. The yogis. But even that is not sufficient. Only the devotees who are engaged in the loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they experience what is called Premananda. Premananda. Premananda is the ultimate goal, is the ultimate joy, is the ultimate happiness for the living entity. So, this process of Krishna consciousness is actually meant to give us that Premananda. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions very beautifully, Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Bhavam Ritahiyaha Aswadyan Swadhyayam Bhaktam Preman Diksham Ashikshayat. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared in this world to distribute Krishna Bhavam Ritam. Krishna Bhavam Ritam means the nectar of Krishna, the sweetness of Krishna. That is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the acharyas coming down in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are helping to distribute this nectar. They themselves are relishing this nectar of Krishna consciousness, Krishna Bhavam Ritam, and they are very eager to distribute to every living entity because they know that this is what will satisfy the living entity. So this process of Krishna consciousness is meant to satisfy the living entity totally. But we have to take it seriously. It cannot be taken lightly. So the challenge is on our heads, is on our shoulders. How seriously we want to apply ourselves to this Krishna consciousness. That makes the difference. And our interaction, our relationship is very important. How we relate to other devotees, how we treat other devotees, how we see other devotees, contribute seriously to our spiritual life, to our spiritual advancement. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, there is a beautiful story, I think it's also touched upon in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, about Kalidas. Kalidas was a Bengali devotee. And Kalidas, understanding that his relationship with the Vaishnavas is very crucial. So Kalidas embarked on a very special project. And what is that special project? Kalidas' desire was how to please the Vaishnavas in Bengal. Because he knew that if he is able to please the Vaishnavas in Bengal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be merciful towards him. So what did Kalidas do? Every day Kalidas will go to the marketplace, he will buy the best mangoes. And then he will go and offer it to one family. After offering the mangoes to their family, Kalidas will go and hide in the bush. And then when these Vaishnavas, this family, they eat the mangoes and go and throw away the seeds and the peels, Kalidas will come out from his hideout and he would collect the peels and the seeds, and he would relish them. He would eat them. Can you imagine that? How many of us can do that? That the remnants of the devotees, we take pleasure in eating. But Kalidas was doing that. He would go to the marketplace. He would find the best mangoes. He would buy. Then he would go to a Vaishnava family. He offer it as a gift. My dear Prabhu, my dear Mataji, I have some nice gift for you. Take it. Then he will offer them. Then he will go out as if he's going away. He will go and hide in the bush. And he will wait. Because he knows they will eat it. And he doesn't mind waiting the whole day to make sure he gets the remnants. So when they eat and throw away their peels, Kalidas will come out and relish the prasadam. Tin Mahabala. So there are three things that are very important. The remnants of prasadam from a devotee, the water that washes the feet of the devotee, and the dust from the feet of the devotee. They are very, very powerful. They are very important. Anyone who wants to make progress in Krishna consciousness must hanker for these three things. Kalida, he was hankering for these things. Even there was one devotee, Jadu Thakur. He was considered not a Brahmin. He was not considered a very high grade devotee. But Kalidas bought mangoes and gave it to Jadu Thakur. And after they ate and threw away the peels, Kalidas went to eat those peels. When he went and offered the mangoes to them, Jadu Thakur said, "Why are you wasting your time bringing gifts to us? We are very fallen. We should be serving you. You should not be serving us." The Kalidas said, No. Every Vaishnava needs to be served. Every Vaishnavi needs to be served. Once you are serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, once you are chanting the names of the Lord, you deserve my service. That should be our mentality. We should not discriminate. This is a good Vaishnava and this is a bad Vaishnava. We should serve everybody. So Kalidas was doing that. And so after he has done that to a number of devotees, it was time for the devotees in Bengal to go to Puri for the yearly Ratha Yatra parade festival. And Lord Chaitanya was in Puri. So Kalidas went with the devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had told Govinda, his servant, before Lord Chaitanya will enter the Jagannath temple, there is a place he washes his feet. And he told Govinda never to allow any devotee to drink that water. But when Kalidas went with the devotees to Puri, and they followed Lord Chaitanya to the temple, and Lord Chaitanya was washing his feet, Kalidas put his hand under the Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet and caught that water that was washing the Lord's feet. He drank it and put his hand again and he drank it. And he went the third time and Lord Chaitanya said enough. Said enough. Not only that, Lord Chaitanya, he understood how Kalidas is serving the Vaishnavas in Bengal. Therefore, he told Govinda, take my remnants and offer it to Kalidas. So Kalidas, having served the Vaishnavas so nicely in Bengal, he got the benefit. Lord Chaitanya allowed him to drink the water that washed his feet. And not only that, Lord Chaitanya also instructed Govinda that please deliver the remnants of my prasadam to that special devotee, Kalidas. So, Devotional service means attracting the mercy of Krishna. Devotional service means attracting the favor of Krishna. That is why we are doing all these things. We are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are studying the scriptures, we are preaching. Whatever we are doing, the goal is to attract the favor of Krishna. So anything that would attract Krishna's favor, you do it and do it well. So our relationships should be based on pleasing Krishna. The devotees of Krishna are very dear to him. Krishna tells Balaram, maybe Uddhava. He says, Son Krishna is not as dear to me as you are dear to me. He says, even Lakshmi is not so dear to me as you are dear to me. Even my own self, I'm not dear to myself as you are dear to me. So the devotees of the Lord are very dear to him. And if they are dear to the Lord, the only way we can attract Krishna's attention is to treat the devotees very nicely. And that is the austerity. That is the austerity we have to undergo in Kali Yuga. In previous ages, people performed austerity for 60,000 years, like Valmiki Muni, Kadarma Muni, 10,000 years, and many others. They performed severe austerities for thousands of years, just to attract Krishna's attention. Brahmanji performed very severe austerities for thousands of years to attract Krishna's attention. Even Lakshminji is performing austerities in Badrivan, in Vrindavan, to attract Krishna's attention. For us, we don't have the capacity to perform such austerities. But the austerity we have to perform is how to treat each other nicely. That is the austerity we have to perform. How to relate to each devotee nicely. That is the austerity. And so, if we want to please Krishna, if we want Krishna's favor, then we must accept this austerity and execute it by treating the devotees very nicely. I will end here. Are there any comments or questions? You're welcome. Hare Krishna. So any comments or questions? Yes, Prabhu. Any microphone for him or only one microphone?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
You mentioned about taking the favor of Krishna. So, would you please elaborate that? Like, if my some hankerings are there, material hankerings or something. So, would it be that favor or spiritual favor? So, just elaborate.
Thank you. Thank you. When we talk about favor, getting the favor of Krishna, we are talking about Krishna facilitating our devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that Durga Devi, she has two kinds of mercies. Durga Devi. Nispakata Kripa and Sakapata Kripa. Sakapata Kripa means Durga Devi favors the living entity with a lot of material opulence. But actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that is not mercy. When Durga Devi empowers the living entity with a lot of material facility, that is not mercy, that is punishment. Because these material facilities is most likely going to keep us in the material world for a long time. Therefore, it is not mercy. But when Durga Devi is very, very happy with a living entity, he subjects the living entity to trouble, to difficulties. That is called the Niskapata Kripa. And the living entity, finding himself in great difficulty, raises his hands and surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Durga Devi is described as our auntie. Is our auntie. Just like an uncle. When a child is very stubborn and the parents cannot deal with him or her, they send him to the uncle. The uncle, he sees him as his child, but he will make sure that he's properly disciplined. The parents, sometimes they are too soft. And even though the child is getting spoiled, but due to their attachment, they are able to discipline the child because of softness, because of sentiments, parental sentiments. But the uncle, he sees him as his child, but he's thinking, I will not allow this child to get worse. I must discipline him. So it is said that the living entities, when we disobey Krishna, when we left the spiritual sky, Krishna offered us to Durga Devi, being our auntie, to straighten us up so that we can go back to Krishna. Therefore, Durga Devi, when she really favors the living entity, he subjects the living entity to unlimited difficulties, unlimited suffering. Then the living entity will raise his subordinate position and he will raise his hands and surrender to Krishna. That is the real favor of Durga Devi. Similarly, if Krishna gives a devotee so much material opulence, it is not considered a favor. Lord Krishna himself says in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam that if I want to favor my devotee, I take everything away from him. I make him very poor. His family members will reject him. Society will reject him. At that time, that devotee completely surrenders to me. And I accept him as my own property. Of course, we don't deny the fact that sometimes Krishna also empowers the devotee with a lot of wealth for the preaching work. We have seen some devotees, whatever facilities they have, whatever opulence they have, they invested in Krishna consciousness. They support the preaching mission, and Krishna gives them more. But it's not a general rule that every devotee Krishna gives money or gives resources will invest in Krishna's service. If you are fortunate to have that intelligence, that this Krishna is giving me, let me use it for his service, then you are very fortunate. And that is a favor. In that sense, it becomes a favor. But if we are getting so much material opulence and we are not investing it in Krishna's service, we want to enjoy our senses, we want to gain some fame, some distinction, then that is not Krishna's favor. It is a punishment. Just like Durga Devi punishes the living entity. So Krishna's favor means Krishna facilitates your devotional service. If your devotional service is facilitated by whatever you are given, whatever you get, by whatever you have, then we can say it's Krishna's favor. Duryodhana had a whole empire. Duryodhana, he had the whole empire to himself. But he did not recognize Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He did not recognize Krishna as Madhava. He did not recognize Krishna as the owner. So he perished with his wealth. So Krishna's favor means to have an understanding that, my dear Lord, everything belongs to you. My body belongs to you, my senses belong to you, my wealth belongs to you, my property belongs to you, my everything belongs to you. Let me use it in your service. If you have that intelligence, that understanding, then it means Krishna has favored you. Whether you have or you don't have, you will still serve Krishna. That is Krishna's favor. Is that okay, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? Yes, again?
You mentioned nicely about we should treat devotees equally, and many a times, but this biasness comes in our mind, like looking at some characteristic traits of the devotees or anybody who we are dealing with. It may be some colleagues in the office as well, and if you spend more time with devotees, yes, then devotees. So immediately we try to reject those qualities. Sometimes how they react, how they behave, respond. So that creates certain impressions in our mind, and then we feel, oh, we gel together, we don't gel together. So, and then we try to avoid, come closer based on this. So how do we just accept this?
Thank you, Prabhu. Very important question. It is a natural tendency to categorize people. That's a natural thing. Wherever we are, we always put people in different categories. We put them in boxes. These are good, these are bad. These are this and these are that. We always, that's the way the mind functions. The human mind. That's how it functions. But in devotional service, we have to go against that wave. Because any devotee that is struggling to serve the Lord, that is making an effort to glorify Krishna, we have to show some respect. We have to show some concern about him. So that means we do not have to put devotees in boxes. Of course, there are some devotees also, they behave in such a way that others cannot tolerate. And so, better than committing offenses, you stay away from them. That is there. But that does not mean you make them your enemies, you speak ill against them, you find ways and means to discredit them. No. Because of their peculiar way of behavior, you decide to stay away from them. But at the back of your mind, you should be appreciating them. At least he's chanting Hare Krishna. At least he's coming to the temple. At least he's reading Bhagavad Gita. At least he's doing some seva. You should always be appreciating those things. And of course, I always say you should be praying for that devotee so that he can change to be a better Vaishnava or Vaishnavi. Because the more we become authentic Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, the more we can change this world. Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he used to say that this whole world is full of so much resources and opulences. What is lacking is pure devotees, Vaishnavas. The whole world is full of so many opulences, so many. Now what is lacking is the pure devotees who would direct everyone to Krishna. And so this movement is meant for making pure devotees. It's meant for purifying the whole world. And the more we increase that number of Vaishnavas, that number of devotees, the better the world will be. So therefore we should pray for each other. If you see that somebody is not matching up to the standard that you respect, you should pray to Krishna. When you come before Lord Jagannath, you come before Gaurnitai, you should offer prayer. That devotee is a wonderful devotee, but he has these things I'm observing. Lord Jagannath, please help him, take away those things, make him a better Vaishnava. We should pray for each other. And Lord Jagannath will do our will. So long as we are praying for the betterment of other devotees, Krishna will hear us. And because you are praying for Krishna's intervention, Krishna will also intervene in your own life. Whatever we do for others, Krishna will also do for us. That's a fact. If you try to help devotees, that help doesn't go in vain. The acharyas are watching. Krishna is watching. And he will also help you out. So, yes, some devotees may behave in a way that we cannot deal with them. In order to avoid offending them, we may keep our distance from them. But that does not mean we should keep criticizing them, keep, saying bad things about them. No, we should pray for them that they can improve. And we should wish them well. And by those good wishes, well wishes, Krishna will help them. That's the best way. But in general, we should always be ready to serve devotees, to assist devotees, knowing that the devotees are Krishna's pets. They are very dear to Krishna. And so if we are able to please the pets of Krishna, then Krishna will be pleased with us. As Prabhupada often say, if you love me, then you love my dog. So the devotees are like pets before the Lord. And if you treat them nicely, Krishna will be so happy. He will reciprocate with you. And if you treat them badly, then Krishna will be so unhappy with you. And he might also deal with you in a way you don't want. So please, always remember that anyone who is chanting Hare Krishna, anyone who is reading Bhagavad Gita, anyone who is doing some seva, doing some preaching work, facilitating others, He is very dear to Krishna. And our duty is to appreciate such a devotee and try as much as possible to assist such a devotee. And by doing that, we attract Krishna's favor, we attract Krishna's mercy. Hare Krishna. So, I think we have been sitting here for 1 hour. It's getting late. I don't know how far away some of you are staying. And the weather too is raining. So I would say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be before you, say a few words of this verse. And I encourage all of you to take this Krishna consciousness very, very seriously, because this activity will take us out of the material world. Prabhupada mentioned this in the purport. To go back to Goloka Vrindavan, the seed of devotion has to be planted. Brahmananda Brahminte Kona Bhajivan. The seed of devotion has to be planted by the spiritual master. And by watering the seed, by the process of hearing and chanting, the seed sprouts, it germinates. And then it grows and penetrates the material sky and enters the Brahman Jyoti. And then the hearing and chanting continues. Then the soul, the seed, the creeper, Bhaktinata beach, it enters the spiritual sky, Krishna Loka, and it takes shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. And then it begins to bear very wonderful fruits. So, this is a process by which we can all go back home, back to Godhead. And therefore, all of us must water this seed that has been planted in the heart by the devotees of the Lord. That opportunity is given to all of us sitting right under this shed. We've all been given that opportunity to water the plant by hearing and chanting. And the result is we shall attain the highest pleasure, which is Premananda. That is satisfying to the soul. As soon as you experience Bhava, that's the beginning of Premananda. As soon as you experience Bhava, you wouldn't need anything else. What to speak of if you experience Premananda? You don't lack anything else. That is what we really need. That is what we are hungering for. George Harrison, in the introduction to Krishna book, says, everyone is searching for Krishna. Some know of it, others don't. The seek for pleasure is actually a search for Krishna. Every living entity is seeking pleasure. You can only find that pleasure in Krishna. So therefore, every living entity is searching after Krishna. But many don't know where to find that Krishna. So they are investing their energies in the material atmosphere that they are not getting. Those who are fortunate, Bhajivan Jivas, the very fortunate Jivas, they come in touch with Krishna consciousness. And the seed of bhakti is planted. And they water it daily by hearing and chanting. And this seed will sprout and grow and penetrate the spiritual sky and take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then one can enjoy the fruits of love of Godhead. That will be borne by the tree of devotional service. On this note, we say thank you very much. Hopefully in the future we may come to go again and we'll have the chance to see all of you again. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. I come from Ghana. No, I come from Ghana. I'm a disciple of Bhakti Tito Maharaj. Most of you have met Bhakti Tito Maharaj. And I serve in Ghana as the zonal supervisor for ISKCON. Because I also serve in many other capacities in the world. But my name is Srivasa. So that next time we meet, you know you're meeting Srivasa from Ghana, the zonal supervisor for West Africa. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So it was our great fortune to hear from His Grace Srivasa Prabhu, and I'd like to give a brief introduction, although Prabhuji has already done that. So Prabhuji joined ISKCON in Ghana, West Africa in 1981. The year when most of us weren't even born. So, and Prabhuji got initiated in 1983 by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. Prabhuji first served as BBT manager for 4 years, and then he also served as temple president for several temples in Nigeria and Ghana. He also served as regional secretary for West Africa from 1987 to 2016. Prabhuji completed Mayapur Institute Bhakti Shastri course and Bhakti Vaibhav course, after which he has been teaching these courses in Mayapur and Vrindavan higher institutes. Prabhuji established Bhakti Vedanta Academy for Culture and Education in West Africa for Shastric education of the devotees. He served as Global Duty Officer with the GBC Executive Secretariat and facilitated the development of promotion of the Ministry of Education project called as Books Are the Basis. After successfully completing GBC College for Leadership Development in 2016, Prabhuji was appointed as Zonal Supervisor for West Africa, and he continues to serve